Hello, my dear friends. I'm Shubham from LearnerHub, the free learning platform where you can study physics, chemistry, maths, biology absolutely for free at learnerhub.com. So then, let's start. So friends, as you all know, we are going to start with your last chapter of ICSE chemistry, class 10th, organic chemistry. And in this video, we are going to see the basics of the organic chemistry. Okay, so half the basics of the organic chemistry we are going to deal with in this video. We are going to study the concepts. So I hope you would enjoy learning with me then, and it's like very interesting topic, very interesting chapter. So then, without wasting much time, let's start and let's rock. So as usual, starting from the first question, that why we should study organic chemistry in itself. Okay, now it is so interesting. Believe me, it is very much interesting. If you would study right from the beginning, organic chemistry is wonderful. Okay, but this answer you would expect, like you would say that it is given by all the teachers for all the parts of the subject. Okay, but no, I'm going to tell you first what is organic chemistry. Okay, and then we will see why is it interesting, why we should study it. Okay, so simply for now, okay, in the initial time you just understand that organic chemistry is simply the chemistry of carbon compounds. Okay, the compounds of carbon, that's it. Okay, now this carbon chemistry, okay, or the organic chemistry is actually a separate branch in the chemistry, like physical chemistry, inorganic chemistry. Organic chemistry is also a separate branch. Now why we have separated this organic chemistry, okay, or why we are studying it as a separate branch in itself? Because now, since we know it is the chemistry of carbon compounds, we are going to study the carbon compounds, and there are lots of carbon compounds. Okay, like more than 5 million carbon compounds, okay, organic compounds. Okay, these carbon compounds are called as organic compounds. For now, you just remember or you just understand that organic compounds are carbon compounds. So more than 5 million organic compounds are present, okay, at present are there, okay, exist, and year by year thousands of compounds are getting added into the list. So there is a huge vast ocean of organic compounds to study, and that's the reason we just separate this branch of chemistry, means we just separate this part of chemistry and we just study it as a separate branch, okay, in the chemistry. Now I hope you would have got a basic idea that what is organic chemistry all about. Okay, very basic idea. Now why we should study it, what are the applications, let's see. So now believe me, you won't find it, or it's very hard to find a compound, okay, which is not organic, or it is very hard to find an organic compound which we don't use in our day-to-day life. Okay, like it's used, like see in food, okay, food like carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, okay, or carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, okay, this components of the food, they are all organic compounds. Okay, we eat them. Like clothes are also made up of organic compounds. Okay, explosives are organic compounds, fuels are organic compounds, soaps, shampoos which we use in our day-to-day life, they are organic compounds, medicines, perfumes, insecticides, dyes, etc., etc. So see, this so vast list, okay, of organic compounds is there, and all these things we use in our day-to-day life. Okay, so it's very, very important. One by one, when you study in detail about the organic compounds, you would come to know how the organic compounds, okay, in our day-to-day life play a very vital role. Okay, so I hope you are feeling now interested and energetic as well, okay, to study the last chapter and the very much interesting chapter of your chemistry syllabus. So then let's start. So friends, now before starting to study this chapter, I have just divided this basics part into these topics. Okay, now in this video we are going to see this first topic, introduction to the organic compounds, structural formula, okay, how to write a structural formula, a very basic idea of structural formula. Then we are going to see the nomenclature part, okay, and here in the nomenclature part we are going to see how to write the IUPAC name from the structure. Okay, so we are going to simply see the rules for writing the name from the structure. The practice part, okay, that is the more understanding you would get of this topic, okay, in the next video, because we are going to practice a lot of organic compounds, how to write the names of the organic compounds from the structure. Okay, but after that, in the next video, you would get the practice. Then we would see how to write the structure from the name, homologous series, and the two types of and the isomerism, in which only single type of isomerism, structural one, but structural structural isomerisms, two types, chain and position. So now let's start with the first topic, introduction to organic compounds. Okay, now in the introduction to organic compounds, we are going to first see the unique nature of carbon atom. Okay, and why we are going to study this unique nature of carbon atom, you would come to know, okay, in few minutes. But first of all, now organic compounds, I have told you, simply you can just understand at this point that organic compounds are compounds of carbon, okay, or carbon compounds. And a very precise definition of what is organic compound is simply the organic compounds are hydrocarbons and their derivatives. Okay, but don't move on to this part right now. Okay, we are at the basics, so just keep calm. I will come back to this hydrocarbons and these derivatives as soon as we study unique nature of carbon atom. Okay, right? But now, why we have to study the unique nature of carbon atom? Because it's the answer to the question which we have, or it's the answer to a question which should be present in your mind when I have told you in the initial part only that carbon forms a large number of organic compounds, right? Or there are large number of organic compounds, right? Like more than 5 million, that means more than 50 lakhs of organic compounds. So that means carbon is forming so much number of compounds, right? But why? How carbon is forming so much number of compounds? Okay, how carbon is able to manage to form so much number of compounds? Okay, and the answer is because of its unique nature. And what unique nature it has? It has two properties, okay, which are its unique nature. First is its tetravalency, okay, and second is catenation. Okay, now we are going to study about these two properties, very simple properties, and these properties help carbon to form such large number of compounds. Okay, tetravalency. So from the name itself, you can just guess that it is related to the valency of the carbon, and tetra means valency is 4, right? And we already know that carbon has a valency 4. Okay, but what actually this tetravalency is? It is the property of the carbon, okay, to form 4 covalent bonds. Okay, property of carbon atoms to form 4 covalent bonds. So why 4 covalent bonds then? Okay, why 4? The answer to this belongs to this two means it has a simple reason. That is, first of all, carbon is having valency 4. Okay, and we know that carbon, okay, having 4 electron in its outermost shell. Okay, so it's very difficult for the carbon atom to either lose the electron, okay, in order to attain the duplet. Okay, by losing the outermost 4 electrons, okay, it would be left with the inner 2 electrons. Okay, that is the first shell 2 electrons, because its electronic configuration is like this, 2, 4, right? So first shell is having 2 electrons, second shell is having 4 electrons. So outermost 4 electron when lost, it would attain duplet, but it's very difficult to lose 4 electrons. Also, it has another option to gain 4 electrons and attain octet, right? To make the configuration 2, 8 and reach the nearest noble gas configuration, that is neons configuration. Okay, that is we call as octet, because the outermost shell is now having 8 electrons. But for that also it would require to gain 4 electrons, and that task is also a very difficult one for carbon atom. Okay, so since it's very difficult to lose 4 electrons or to gain 4 electrons, okay, in order to attain duplet or octet respectively, so that's why carbon chooses a middle solution. That is, it thinks that why I should do a difficult part. Okay, like humans only, carbon atom is also like its thinking ability is like humans. Okay, we humans tend to choose a middle solution, right? We don't want extreme solutions. We need some blended solution. So that's why carbon also thinks in the same way. He says that why I should invest so much energy in losing or gaining that 4 electrons. Either I would share this 4 electrons, okay, and when carbon shares this 4 electron, okay, with another atoms, okay, now sharing means it would share its 4 electrons, okay, in such a way that another atoms are also sharing one electron each with the carbon atom. Okay, so suppose it's hydrogen in short. Okay, see in this way. So we have studied about the CH4's Lewis dot structure. So hydrogen's electrons are this, okay, like this. I'm denoting it with cross, and now it is sharing the electrons with carbon, okay, and here carbon, okay, each hydrogen atom is sharing one electron, and here carbon is sharing its 4 electrons. So what is happening here? In turn, carbon is attaining its octet, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, okay, and meanwhile hydrogen is also attaining their duplets, but no need to worry about the hydrogen's duplet. Here carbon's octet is very important, and in this way carbon, what it finds out, what it does, it finds out a blended solution. It shares the 4 electrons, we all know, and it forms 4 covalent bonds, okay, because we know when the electrons are shared, okay, to form a bond, that bond is called as covalent bond, right? So the property of carbon atom to form 4 covalent bonds, okay, is called tetravalency. As simple as that, right? Now the next one is catenation. So this is slightly interesting, okay. Now see, carbon atom has another like this fantastic property of linking to the atoms, okay, linking to itself, okay. So suppose I'm having one carbon atom, so it has a fantastic property to link with another carbon atom, okay, like this, another carbon atom, okay. Now this carbon atom, it can also link with another carbon atom. This carbon atom can also link with another carbon atom. This carbon atom can also link with another. So this self-linking, okay, of the carbon atoms, okay, so the property of self-linking, okay, of the atoms of same element, right? You can see here carbon element, okay. How? By forming covalent bonds, okay. Now this linkage, okay, in which the atoms of the same element are linked by the covalent bonds, they can link in such a way that they can form a long chain, okay, a simple, a straight chain, okay, or they can form branch chain like this. So carbon atoms are attached in a single line, but then some carbon atom comes and joins to a random carbon atom, okay, and it forms a branch, okay. Now here this is a branch, like this, okay, this is a branch, okay. So these are called as branch chains then. And another type of arrangement which carbon atom can form by linking to the another carbon atoms is the closed chain arrangement, okay. So in this at least 3 carbon atoms are required, okay, to form a closed chain, because we all know 2 carbon atoms cannot form a closed type of structure, right? It should be at least 3, so that this carbon would attach to this carbon would link to this, and this carbon would again link to this, okay. So like a triangle, okay, so it can form like this, like a triangle, like a square, like pentagon, okay, like hexagon, in this way. Clear? So these are the ways in which carbon can, okay, link to itself, okay, and form different types of chains: straight chain, branch chain, and closed chain, okay, or ring chain, which can be of different sizes, okay. So if I can increase the size of this chain, okay, straight chain, I can increase the size of this branch chain, okay, like this. So of different sizes, carbon links to itself and forms this different sized straight chain, branch chain, as well as I have shown you here, the ring chains, okay, or closed chains. Clear? And this property, okay, of any particular element, if a particular element is showing such property, okay, of self-linking, okay, property of self-linking to the atoms of same element, okay, or self-linking of atoms of the same element. If a particular element is self-linking, okay, to the atoms to the itself by covalent bonds like this, just like the carbon, okay, to form straight chain, branch chain, or cyclic chains of different sizes, then we call this property as catenation, okay. Now other elements also show catenation, okay, like sulfur, but carbon shows catenation to maximum extent, okay. Now there is a very interesting reason behind it. This is because of the strong carbon-carbon bond. Okay, clear with the catenation? Okay, now let's see how single, double or triple covalent bonds are formed. Okay, so first of all we will see how these single, double and triple covalent bonds are formed between the carbon atoms. Okay, so keeping two things in mind, that carbon is tetravalent, right? It forms 4 covalent bonds, right? 4, sorry. And secondly, it has the property of catenation, so it can self-link. Okay, so what I would do is, this carbon is forming a single bond with this carbon. Okay, but now it has 4 valency, right? So it forms 4 covalent bond, but here it is only 1 covalent bond which is formed. Rest 3 covalent bonds, what it would do is, it would form with another atoms. Okay, so that atom can be a hydrogen atom in this way. Okay, so see 1, 2, 3, 4. So this carbon atom's valency is satisfied. Okay, 4 covalent bonds are formed, valency satisfied. In the same manner, see this carbon is forming 2 covalent bonds with another 2 carbon atoms, but now we need to satisfy its valency as well. So that's why what I would do is, I would just make this carbon atom to form 2 bonds. Okay, or this carbon atom will form 2 bonds with some another atom. So I have taken hydrogen atom, simple. And now this carbon atom is forming again 1 single covalent bond with the carbon. Okay, this carbon. So another 3 bonds need to be formed in order to satisfy its valency as well. So I am taking another atom, okay, for example hydrogen. So in this way, see, a single covalent bond is formed, okay, between the carbon-carbon. Now I want to form double covalent bond between carbon-carbon atom. Okay, so but I know that carbon can only form 4 bonds, not beyond 4. It cannot go beyond 4. So now pay attention to the structure. Okay, here what I'm doing is I'm linking the 2 carbon atoms by 2 bonds. Okay, double bond. So here this is the double bond. Okay, 1, 2. Now this carbon atom is forming 2 bonds, so it just needs only 2 more bonds to satisfy its valency. So see, 2 bonds are formed with this hydrogen atom, and this carbon atom is also forming 2 bonds with this carbon atom. Okay, so it also needs only 2, and see here 1, 2, so it is also satisfied. Okay, so in this way I have formed double bond as well. Okay, now I want to form triple bond between the carbon-carbon atom. So what I would do is, I would then make here triple bond. But now see, what's the problem? You can pause it here and you can think on your own. Okay, there is some problem with the structure. Okay, if you could figure it out, that means you have understood the previous concept of tetravalency. Okay, now if I hope you would have paused it, you would have given a second to it, and then now let's see whether you are right or wrong. So see here, carbon is making 5 bonds. This carbon is making 5 bonds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but carbon cannot make 5 bonds, right? But yes, here there is 3 bonds, okay, between 2 carbon atoms. Now it only needs to form only 1 extra bond, 1 more bond to satisfy its valency. So then this 1 bond with hydrogen is enough. This is extra 1, right? So I would just erase it. In the same way, now see, this carbon atom is now, it has satisfied its valency. It's perfectly fine. Good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. Now here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bonds again, but I don't want to break, means this carbon would not break the bond with this carbon atom. Okay, no need to break because our carbon atoms are linked in this chain, right? So this is the extra bond right here. Now this carbon atom is also tetravalent. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is, in this way triple bonds are formed. Clear with the formation of single, double and triple bonds. Okay, now let's see the double and triple bonds, okay, triple covalent bonds between carbon and other atoms. Now see, covalent bonds here I am talking about. So this means that the thing should be perfectly clear in your mind that here whatever bond is formed between the 2 atoms, okay, the bond which is formed between the 2 atoms, it is having 2 electrons in it, and that 2 electrons are mutually shared, okay, between the 2 atoms. This means that this carbon atom and this hydrogen atom, between them there is a single covalent bond. So this means that here this electron is from the carbon, this electron is from hydrogen. Okay, so electrons are mutually shared, clear, between the carbon and the hydrogen atom. Okay, same way here this electron and this electron is of this carbon. Okay, and this one and this one is of this carbon. Okay, So here there are 3 pairs of electrons which are shared, but out of which 3 electrons are of this carbon, 3 electrons are of this carbon. So mutually sharing. Okay, mutually sharing is taking place. Mutual sharing is taking place. Okay. Now between the carbon and the other atoms, like suppose nitrogen or oxygen, so sometimes you would find carbon is forming like this double bond with oxygen, okay, in some compounds. We will study about them later, but just to give you a basic idea, okay. So this means that now carbon has formed 2 bonds, okay. Now it is forming one bond with the carbon, another carbon, okay, and now 1 2 3 3 bonds are done. Now it is only left with one more bond, okay. So now it would form with another carbon atom if it wishes to. It can form with a hydrogen atom if it wishes to, or it can form with any other atom if it's the carbon's wish, okay. I cannot tell that carbon to form a bond with which atom, okay. It's his wish or her wish, okay. Chalo. So in this way you can see, now if suppose it is forming the bond with the carbon atom, now here this carbon atom is only forming one bond, so let's satisfy the valencies. So 1 2 3, right, and then 4, so 4 bonds are done. Now this carbon is forming bond with hydrogen. Let's make it simple, okay. Here 1 2 3 4, this carbon is satisfied, 4 bonds are there of the carbon atom, and then here one bond only, so 1 2 3. So in this way, okay, it is forming double bond with oxygen. Again another example. Now let's see triple bond formation between carbon and nitrogen, okay. So here there is triple bond. Now our poor carbon only needs one bond, so it is getting attached with this carbon atom. So that's it. This carbon atom is totally satisfied. It is having 4 bonds. Now here this carbon atom is there, but it is only having one bond with this carbon atom. So then 1 2 3, right? And to make it simple, I'm just making the bonds of this carbon atom with the hydrogen, okay. So this is all about how the bonds are formed, okay, how double bond and triple bond is formed, okay. Between oxygen, here double bond is formed, right, and here the triple bond is formed between the nitrogen and the carbon. Clear with this, how the formation of single, double and triple bonds take place, okay. Now as I have told you, once we finish with the unique nature of carbon atom, then we are going to start with the hydrocarbons and what are the derivatives of hydrocarbons, okay. So once we understand what are hydrocarbons and what are the derivatives of hydrocarbons, we would understand what are organic compounds, because organic compounds are simply the compounds of carbon, and the compounds of carbon means hydrocarbons and their derivatives, okay. So first of all, hydrocarbons. Now these are the compounds which have only keep it in your brain very much firm, only carbon and hydrogen atoms, okay. You won't find any other elements, atoms in hydrocarbons, okay. Purely hydrocarbons I'm talking about, okay, not the derivatives one, right. Now let's make it simple. The hydrocarbons are classified, okay, into 2 types, okay, for studying them with ease. So these 2 types are, first is open chain compounds, okay. These are also called as aliphatic compounds, okay. And the second one is closed chain compounds. Now these closed chain compounds have so many names, okay, or we can call them ring compounds or carbocyclic compounds, okay. Now here in the closed chain or ring compounds or carbocyclic compounds, okay, or here only we need to study about benzene, okay. There is no need to study about the classification of the closed chain, ring chain or carbocyclic compounds in detail, because in our syllabus they have only told us to study only benzene, okay. So I will come to this benzene at last, when we would see we would see first in detail about the open chain compounds, because this is the thing which we need to study, okay, because the next part is alkenes, alkynes, and that depends on this, okay. Now moving ahead, this open chain compounds or aliphatic compounds are further divided into 2 types, okay, saturated and unsaturated, compounds. Okay, now what is this saturated and unsaturated? Okay, now the saturated compounds are those open chain hydrocarbons, okay, those open chain hydrocarbons which are having only carbon carbon single bonds. Okay, means there is only single covalent bond between the carbon atoms. You won't find double or triple covalent bonds between the carbon atoms in saturated open chain hydrocarbons. Okay, whereas in unsaturated open chain hydrocarbons, you would find there is always one or more carbon carbon double bond or carbon carbon triple bond. Okay, you would always find one or more carbon carbon double bond or carbon carbon triple bond. Okay, or you would always find one or more, okay, these double bonds between the carbon atoms and triple bonds between the carbon atoms. Clear? Now further, saturated compounds are alkanes. Okay, simply alkanes. Now see, in alkanes you would have figured out that there is single bond between the carbon atoms. There is always single bond between the carbon atoms. Okay, you won't find any double bond or triple bond between the carbon atoms in alkanes. Okay, those are not the alkanes then. Now let's now see the general formula of alkanes. So I have told you these are hydrocarbons, so only carbon and hydrogen, right? So carbon, okay, if I'm taking n number of carbons, okay, now here n is the natural number, okay, don't take any fractional number, okay, 0.1 and all those things. N is natural number, simply 1 2 3 4. So if I'm taking n number of carbon atoms, okay, if I'm taking one carbon atom, then I have to add 2n. Okay, I have to take this 2n plus 2, okay, number of hydrogen atoms, then it would become an alkane. Understood the correlation? Taking n number of carbon atoms, then I have to take 2n plus 2 number of hydrogen atoms, then I would get an alkane. Okay, so simple, first alkane would be C1, right, and H, 2 into 1 2, 2 plus 2 4, so H4, methane, right, the most simple alkane. Now no need to go into details of methane because we are going to study it in detail, okay, its preparation, its properties later. Here what is alkanes I have told you. Okay, now one more interesting thing about alkanes is it is also called as paraffins. Okay, so if you have heard the word paraffin anywhere, it is alkane. Clear? Now here in case of unsaturated compounds, there are two types of unsaturated compounds. Okay, one type of unsaturated compound is having at least one carbon carbon double bond, okay, and then that is called as alkene. Okay, ENE. Okay, while another type of unsaturated compound is the compound, okay, the open chain hydrocarbon which is having at least one carbon carbon triple bond. Okay, then that is called as alkyne. Okay, very simple correlation to remember. Here also, now here if we take n number of carbon atoms, then we only need 2n number of hydrogen atoms. That's it. This is the general formula for alkenes. Okay, now here if we take n number of carbon atoms, then in case of alkyne you need to take 2n number of carbon atoms and then minus 2, and then 2n number of hydrogen atoms and then minus 2 from it, then whatever number you would get, that is the general formula for an alkyne. Okay, so you can just put the numbers, you would get the answer. So it would be here C2H4, right, here it would be C2 and then 2 2s are 4 minus 2, so 2, right, 4 minus 2 2, so C2H2, right. So these are the first members of alkenes and alkynes. That also we are going to study in detail next, okay, when we are going to see the methods of preparation of alkenes and alkynes. Okay, in that we are going to see the methods of preparation of methane, ethane and ethene and ethyne, as well as properties of methane, ethane, ethene and ethyne. Okay, so that was all about the alkanes, alkenes and alkynes till here. Okay, now in case of this unsaturated compounds, now another meaning of this unsaturated compounds I will tell you, okay, which is very important to understand, so that you would be able to understand the reactions when we would study them. Okay, here unsaturated term means, okay, we can add hydrogen or other atom in these compounds. Okay, so these compounds can take in hydrogen or another atoms. Okay, so since their ability is to, they can still take in some atoms, therefore they are termed as unsaturated. Okay, while this saturated compounds, they don't have any ability to take in another atoms. Now they are fulfilled. Okay, just like saturated solution, we can add more solute into the solution, correct, but we know that the added solute will not get dissolved, okay, because our solution has become saturated. My brain is saturated, I can say that, right? By studying, my brain is saturated, so I cannot take much more. Now I cannot take any more bit piece of knowledge. In the same way, the saturated compounds are also there. They are saying that I am saturated, that's it, I don't want any more atoms. But unsaturated compounds are saying that yes, we can take some atoms. Okay, we can take a hydrogen atom, we can take another atom. Okay, so we are not satisfied, that's why unsaturated. Okay, they can take in this hydrogen or other atom. Now lastly, I have told you that I will tell you about the benzene. Okay, so you just need to remember the structure of benzene. Okay, now benzene is having this carbon chain, okay, which is a closed chain because it is a closed chain compound. But here in this carbon chain, okay, you can observe alternate single and double bond. Okay, so here, if here there is a single bond between carbon atom, it would be double bond here. Okay, if here it is single bond, it would be double. If here it is single, it is double here. Okay, and the rest of the valencies are then satisfied by hydrogen. Okay, so see 1 2 3 hydrogen, 4 1 2 3 hydrogen, 1 2 3 hydrogen, 1 2 3 hydrogen. See 1 2 3 hydrogen, 1 2 3 hydrogen. So you can see here the formula. Okay, molecular formula, very important. 1 2 3 4 5 6 C6. And then hydrogen, how much there are? 1 2 3 4 5 6 H6, right? So in this way, if at all, if you would miss the formula, you can just get back to the formula if you know how to draw the structure of benzene. But that's a very rare scenario. You would remember the formula for benzene, believe me, for your entire life, because it is used so much in the organic chemistry if you would take chemistry in your future studies. Okay, now this was all about the hydrocarbons till now. The further, whatever we are going to study about hydrocarbons, we are going to see it in details in alkenes, alkenes and alkynes. Okay, so now we have understood what are hydrocarbons. Now let's see what are the derivatives of hydrocarbons. But before that, we need to understand one more very interesting thing, very important thing, that is functional groups. Okay, yes, but before that, let me tell you one more thing. A simple thing which we have missed is here, in case of closed chain, they are also called as cyclic compounds. Yeah, and also like how alkenes are called as paraffins, alkenes are called as olefins. Okay, very basic information. Now moving ahead to what is functional group. Okay, so functional group is simply it is an atom or it can be group of atom. Okay, now these atom or group of atom are attached in a specific manner. Okay, do remember this thing. Okay, they are attached in a specific manner. Now I will tell you how they are attached. Okay, once we take the examples of functional group, you would understand that, oh, it is attached in a specific manner. But for now, you just understand this thing, that these are the atoms or the group of atoms which are attached in a specific manner. Okay, and these atoms or group of atoms are responsible, okay, very much responsible for the chemical properties of the organic compounds. Okay, characteristic chemical properties of the organic compound, very much specific chemical properties, okay, which are shown by the organic compounds. Chemical properties means simply the reaction. So these are responsible for the characteristic reactions shown by the organic compounds. Okay, so let's take example, then you would able to understand. Okay, so see here, first is halide functional group. Now it is simply, okay, denoted by dash and X, and here this X means it can be chlorine, bromine, iodine, okay, fluorine, okay, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. This X can be fluorine, chlorine, bromine or iodine. Understood? So these are all atoms, right? So these atoms, okay, they are attached in a specific manner, okay, to our organic compound and to our hydrocarbon. Okay, we can say that in this way. So after getting attached to the hydrocarbon, okay, there is some loss of hydrogen and all those things, but no need to go into detail here right now. But you can just understand that these atoms are attached in a specific manner, and yes, Okay, they are responsible for the characteristic reactions which are shown by the compound which is formed, okay, after the attachment of this functional group. Clear? So the compound which will be formed after the attachment of these halides, okay, their characteristic reactions would be because of these atoms. Understood? In the same way, the characteristic reactions of the organic compounds, okay, which would have these group of atom OH, okay, their reactions, okay, their characteristic reactions would be because of this OH group, okay. So that's why we call it as functional group, okay, it's functional. Clear? So another example is alcohol, just I have told you. Now how it is attached? It is attached in a specific manner. It is attached from the oxygen here, okay. So next is aldehyde group. Now here it is just simply written as CHO, but how it is attached? See, it is attached from the carbon atom. This carbon atom is forming a double bond with oxygen. So see, carbon, oxygen done, and then hydrogen, okay. So here there is a hydrogen, okay. So it attaches from here, this point, okay, and this carbon atom is having double bond with oxygen, single bond with hydrogen. So this is CHO, okay. Simply we denote it as dash CHO. This is the dash CHO, okay. Dash means the bond, okay. Then ketone is like a brother of aldehyde. How it forms, how it links with the carbon chain, okay, in this way. Carbon double bond oxygen, okay, but now it is free to link to the carbon chain from both the sides, okay. From here also it can link, from here also it can link, any side, okay. So this is the ketone group. Then carboxylic acid group, it is denoted as dash COOH, okay. So this is like this, carbon, okay, double bond O and then OH group, okay. So it becomes COOH, okay. Dash means bond, COOH. And like ether, so here you would find this linkage, COC linkage, okay. Now this, both these carbon atoms are the carbon chain, the part of the carbon chain, okay, and both the carbon chains are linked by this oxygen, okay. So that this can be a chain, this can be simply a carbon group, okay, or alkyl group, which we will see later on, okay. Next is we are going to see what is alkyl group in order to understand how these functional groups, okay, are linked and they form the derivatives of hydrocarbons, okay. So this is what ether COC linkage, just you remember like this here. In the next slide it would be clear to you, okay. Now one more very much important thing, which is, though we have studied in hydrocarbons about alkenes and alkynes, that we know that alkenes and alkynes are hydrocarbons, correct, unsaturated open chain hydrocarbons. But the double bond which is present in the alkenes and the triple bond which is present in the alkynes, this double bond and triple bond, okay, are considered as functional groups, okay, functional groups. So this means that simply double bond and triple bond are also functional group. Now don't try to pick this double bond and triple bond and try to fit in this definition, okay. It would not fit, because neither double bond or triple bond is an atom or a group of atom. You just remember in this way that we consider double bond and triple bond as functional group, that's it, okay. But yes, here the double bond or triple bond which is present in the hydrocarbon, it won't make the hydrocarbons, it won't give result, or it won't result into the derivative of hydrocarbon, okay. The double bond or triple bond present in the hydrocarbon is simply the hydrocarbon itself, that is alkene or alkyne. Clear? Don't get confused with this thing. Just remember that double bond or triple bond is also a functional group, is also considered as functional group, though it is not fitting into this definition, okay. This would help us when we are studying the nomenclature later on. Now just we have seen what are functional groups. Now let's see the derivatives of hydrocarbons. So we are going to use this functional group and we are going to reach how the derivatives of hydrocarbons are like, okay. We are going to understand what are derivatives of hydrocarbons. So for that, first we need to understand a simple group which is known as alkyl group, okay. Now this alkyl group is nothing but when we remove the hydrogen from the alkene, we get alkyl group, okay. Remove one hydrogen atom from the alkene, we get alkyl group. So if I'm taking methane, which we have seen as an alkanes example, okay, try to recollect, just we have seen a few minutes earlier. So if I would remove a hydrogen from methane, okay, minus hydrogen from methane, so what would happen? CH3, I would get CH3, and this is an alkyl group, okay. So this is denoted by R, Now how we name them and all those things, no need to go into details here right now. We are going to study about them, okay, when we are going to study the nomenclature. But for now you just can understand that this is the R group, okay. The alkyl group is denoted by R group. How the alkyl group is formed? By removing hydrogen from the alkanes, as simple as that. So these are, when I would attach to the halides, okay, that is fluorine, chlorine, bromine or iodine, okay, it would result into a derivative of a hydrocarbon, okay, and this derivative is called as alkyl halide, okay. Since this is alkyl group, so alkyl halide, okay. The simple name, the nomenclature name, IUPAC nomenclature name, we are going to study later, okay. Just the simple names of the derivatives I am going to tell you, okay, what we call them commonly. Next is, when the alcohol group, okay, OH group is attached to the R, we call them as alcohols, okay. When the aldehyde group is attached to the alkyl group, we call them as aldehydes itself, okay. And when the ketone group, you can see here, okay, C double bond O and 2 bonds, okay, which are ready to get linked with the alkyl groups, when this are linked with the alkyl groups, we call them as ketones, okay. The derivatives are ketones. And when the carboxylic acids, see, COOH, they are attached to the R group, okay, we call them as carboxylic acids itself. And here ether, so I have told you this linkage is there, COC linkage, okay. So this C can be an alkyl group like C, CH3, okay, or like this CH3, okay. So both the alkyl groups can be same, that's why ROR, okay, same alkyl groups. One of the alkyl group can be different, okay. So suppose now I have taken this alkane, okay, methane, the first member of the alkane. If I am going to take the second member, how I would get the second member? When I would take N is equals to 2, okay. So there is a simple math here. So C2, right, CN, right, so C2 and then H2N plus 2. This was the formula, 2N plus 2. You need to calculate what is 2N plus 2, that much hydrogens are there. So 2 into 2, 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 hydrogens are there, okay, in this second member. So C2H6 is the formula. Now when I would remove hydrogen from this, what would form? C2H5, one hydrogen would get lost here. So C2H5 is the alkyl group now. So I can take, instead of this CH3 group here, it can also be like this, okay, C2H5. So that's why I have written here ROR, R same alkyl groups, see, same alkyl groups, or here it is one alkyl group and here it is another alkyl group. On the one side of the oxygen there is one, on the other side there is another. So one side of the oxygen there is one alkyl group, on the another there is different alkyl group. It can also be possible, it is also possible, okay. So all these types of compounds are the derivatives of hydrocarbons. Now you would understand what is organic chemistry, because organic chemistry is simply the chemistry of organic compounds or carbon compounds. And what are carbon compounds or organic compounds? Carbon compounds or organic compounds are simply the hydrocarbons and their derivatives, right? So we have just now seen the correlation. Organic chemistry is the study of organic compounds, right? Organic compounds are simply hydrocarbons and their derivatives. Okay, so this means that organic chemistry is the study of hydrocarbons and their derivatives. Now this definition is like a proper definition, okay. Organic chemistry is the chemistry of hydrocarbons and their derivatives. Clear? So we have reached the point where we have understood what actually is organic chemistry, along with some basics of organic chemistry. Some basics, okay, we are yet to learn more basics. Okay, now one more interesting thing about the alkyl group is, okay, all the alkyl groups, just now we have seen how alkyl groups are formed by removing one hydrogen atom from the alkanes. So all the alkyl groups have one unpaired electron, okay, and these one unpaired electron, how it is represented? It is represented by a line, okay, like this. So if I am taking CH3, this is the alkyl group, okay, it is having one unpaired electron and I am representing it with this line, okay, and here on the other side there is nothing, okay, it is not attached to any other atom or any other molecule, okay. So that's why this indicates that it is having only a single unpaired electron, this indication, okay. On the other side there is no other atom, this is the indication that alkyl group is having only single unpaired electron, okay. Now here in the organic compound, now we have seen what organic compounds are. Basically they are hydrocarbons or the derivatives of hydrocarbons, right? So if it is a hydrocarbon itself, then it's fine. But when we talk about the derivatives of hydrocarbons, then such organic compounds, okay, in the derivatives of hydrocarbons, such organic compounds are having a alkyl group, right? You can see here this alkyl groups, right, and the functional group. Okay, right, sorry, this one, the O oxygen atom here. Okay, so this alkyl group and the functional group, okay, they are responsible for some properties. So here alkyl group, okay, it determines mainly the physical properties, okay, while the functional group, okay, it is responsible, okay, for the chemical properties. Okay, so we have studied about what are hydrocarbons and how the derivatives of hydrocarbons look like. Okay, just the basics, we have touched the basics. Now let's study how the organic compounds are like written conveniently. Okay, because if we want to depict an organic compound, okay, and if we write simply the molecular formula, it doesn't give us a detailed information that how the atoms are linked to each other. Okay, so molecular formula is not a convenient representation, okay, to represent the organic compound. So what is then the convenient representation? Structural formula is the convenient representation. Why? Because here in structural formula, okay, or structural formula, what is structural formula? Once you understand it, you would understand why we use structural formula. Because see, structural formula simply it represents how atoms of different elements, okay, are linked together in a molecule. Okay, so it just gives a clear picture that how the atoms, okay, of carbon, of hydrogen or other atoms, okay, which are present in the organic compounds are linked to each other, okay, linked to each other, and they form a molecule, organic compounds molecule. Okay, so here organic compounds are represented by structural formula, okay, so that we could easily figure out how the arrangement is and we could understand them much more easily. Okay, now for example, suppose pentane, I'm taking pentane. Okay, now this pentane is simply 5 carbon atom alkane. Okay, now don't worry about this, I will tell you how the name is pentane. Don't worry about it right now. So if I'm taking a 5 carbon atom alkane, so we know alkane's general formula. First we will start from molecular formula. So what is the molecular formula? General molecular formula for alkanes, it is CnH2n plus 2, right? So I'm taking 5 carbon atoms, so C is 5, so what would happen? C5, then H, 2 5s are 10, right? 10 plus 2 12, so C5H12, correct? 10 plus 2 12, so C5H12, see, C5H12. Okay, so I have taken this 5 carbon atom alkane. Now I want to show it in the form of structural formula. How I would do it? I would just simply write the 5 carbons like this. Okay, now this carbons, okay, since it is alkane, we know that there is carbon-carbon single bonds only. So I will make carbon-carbon single bonds like this. Okay, and now this structure, okay, is called as carbon skeleton. Okay, so see, the structure which is showing only the linking of carbon atoms in a molecule. Okay, it is just showing only the linking of carbon atoms in a molecule. Okay, so it is carbon skeleton, simple. Now in this carbon skeleton, what I know is there are 12 hydrogen atoms, and I also know that carbon has tetravalency, right? Means its valency is 4, it forms 4 covalent bonds. So I need to satisfy carbon's valency. So what I would do, I know it's an alkane, hydrocarbon, only carbon and hydrogen. So here there are carbon, 5 carbons, now rest is hydrogen, which would satisfy the carbon's valency. Okay, so see, 1 2 3 hydrogens here would be needed to satisfy the carbon's valency, so it would form 4 covalent bonds. This carbon is done. Now it has formed already, this carbon has already formed 2 covalent bonds, so 1 2 3 4 covalent bonds. Same way for this, okay, already 2 covalent bonds, 3 4, already 2 covalent bonds for this one, so 3 4, and in the same way there is only 1 covalent bond for this carbon, so 1 2 and 3. Now this is the structural formula for our 5 carbon atom alkene, which is called as pentane. Okay, now you can calculate, you can just count here, you would find that exactly the same number of atoms are present here. See, C 1 2 3 4 5, C5, and here 5 hydrogen. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, 5, it's 10. Okay, so 5 5 10 11 12. Okay, so this is the way we write the structural formula. Don't worry about it right now, because first I have made your job very easy to understand structural formula, to write structural formulas, okay, for the hydrocarbons as well as the derivatives as well. But for that, first we need to study the nomenclature. Okay, so don't worry, it's the next step. Just for your basic understanding, I have told you how we write the structural formula by giving an example. But now you can observe here, if I would increase the number of carbon atoms, okay, more, if I would take 10 carbon atom alkane, so then the structure would be much longer, and it is like a bit messy to look at, right? It is cumbersome when the molecule having bigger structural formula, okay, is taken. Bigger structural formula. So what we can do is, you just keep one thing in mind whenever you are studying any science, okay, any branch of science, that we human beings always have the tendency to make the things simpler, right? Here we are making the things simpler for you. So same way, in order to see the structural formula in a simpler way, in order to understand it in a simpler way, okay, how the atoms are linked, what we can do is we can just represent it in the form of condensed formula or abbreviated formula. Okay, so this type of formula, okay, will help us to look at the structure, or would keep the structure neat and tidy. Okay, it would not look like mess. Okay, so how we write the abbreviated formula or condensed formula? It's very simple. What we have to do is simply we need to show the carbon-carbon bonds, okay, but we will not show the carbon-hydrogen bonds, because we already know carbon-hydrogen would form only single bonds, right? So no need to show the carbon-hydrogen bonds then. Only carbon-carbon bonds are important, because carbon can form 2 bonds with another carbon, carbon can form 3 bonds, triple bond with another carbon, right? So carbon-carbon bonds we have to show. So simply carbon-carbon bond I have shown, okay, these 2 carbon-carbon bonds, and rest hydrogen of these carbon atoms, 3 hydrogen, I would just write CH3, okay. So CH3, in this way, carbon is linked to the other carbon. Okay, now here this carbon is having 2 hydrogens, so this carbon CH2. Okay, same way this CH2 is linked to another CH2, right, with a single bond. This CH2 is linked with another CH2 with a single bond. So this CH2 linked with another CH2. Okay, now the third CH2 is linked with the fourth CH2 with a single bond, right? So then fourth CH2, and this fourth CH2 is further linked with this CH3, okay, with a single bond. Okay, so CH3, this becomes your condensed formula or abbreviated formula. Like, it's very easy to look at it, right? It's very easy to understand also that yes, now here carbon-carbon bonds are single bonds, and we already know that carbon-hydrogen bonds are obviously single bonds. Okay, so we now know by looking at this formula that how the atoms are linked to each other. Okay, atoms of different elements are linked to each other. Here also our job is done. Okay, so that's it.